Hi, I'm Terra Nicole, and I'm the author of Spiraling Up, A Fantastical Journey Within. And I am introducing a new podcast. I've been hoping to record three and then introduce it out into the world. And, life takes turns. I have two in the can, as they used to say, and was hoping for one more. And I've decided, because of the circumstances as they are, that one is going to simply be me. And I've got the sun beaming behind me. Um, but such is life. The goal of Spiraling Up with Terra is to have conversations about the journey and the choices we make to be our better selves and to meet each other where we are, whether it's the first step or the billionth, because each of them matters. And along the way, there's so many things that guide us. And so my hope was that the conversation would be about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary and sharing the ways that the universe shows up, the people show up, and help us continue and not get caught up in what other options we really usually take. We all know what it's like to spiral down. We probably all know what it's like to loop around and around and around and face the same challenges over and over again and face just a sense of stuck and bored and done, and is there anything more? Spiraling up is the other option. Did you know? Because it's real. So I wrote a book about it, and it's a book about my true story through grief and loss and trauma over the death of my husband, told in what I believe is the most fantastical way. And I like to say that there's stories of dragons and fairies and talking fish, and then there's things I made up. So it's really been an amazing journey that has left me in a place of gratitude. And it's been 7 years in the making. I published in May, but it started in 2017. So not the book, but the trauma, the death of my husband, and then the death of my mother, and then, and the loss of my career, and so on and so forth. Um, Round and down it goes. But the truth of the matter is I lived and I have a life to live, and I want it to be a good life by my standards. Um, the death of my husband freed me from his depression and his struggles and his demons that I, enabled him through, I guess, in our dysfunction, loving dysfunction. And the death of my mother, untimely and so sad, just a huge loss. Freed me from a lot of shoulds and a lot of things that I found I altered myself for her and for our relationship. And, um, you know, that's motherhood, I suppose, at least mine. Wonderful, loving, and had a hard time letting go, letting me be me. And so all of these things I faced in my own way was a lot of um, energetic and multi-dimensional healing, and I found those just by following my own path. Like, those are the things that I encountered, and I continued to do the things that felt good, um, and I found ways to avoid the things that felt bad. But not liking to do laundry, not liking to do dishes doesn't mean I can just stop them because they don't feel good. So it took me a while to learn how to find a way to feel good doing the things that didn't feel good, but that really had to be done. The adulting things that you simply can't get away from if you want to be an adult. And I did. I wanted to have a full life. I still do. And so I built one, slowly but surely, one step at a time. I found my way through. I found that I could get a lot of clearing and understanding by listening to myself. I learned how. My body started changing and talking different, and I listened. And every one of these things helped me along the way for the last, 7 years, almost, over 7 years. And now I have found another blip. It has found me. Um, November 19th, the Pacific Northwest was hit by what they called a bomb cyclone. Um, I think if it had been anywhere else, it'd have some fancy name. I think maybe it should have some really cool Northwest indigenous tribal name. It starts with an A because it's the first of its kind that signifies strength and resilience and the ability to take a pounding and get back up, because man, that's what we got. Holy moly, it was brutal. Scariest storm I've ever been in, and that was before the tree was forcibly slammed onto my house. um, this tree, what's left of it here, is the sister of the one it was connected to, which was twice as tall, about 100 feet tall, that slammed onto my house here and cut through it like a sandwich. And I was just outside that sandwich, um, where the pickle might go on the plate, uh, and in pretty much the one room that didn't have the roof fall in, um, with me and my dogs, and the house exploded. I didn't know what it was. I just, in the middle of this horrible storm, had to get out and open the sliding door, and about 10 feet away from me, and that's when I saw the top of my redwood, and that's how I knew. My brain went, there's no tree there. Oh my God, the tree. And so we found safety with the neighbor, and the next morning figured it out. And the next morning saw my house basically gone. Um, so I had friends come, friends with connections, friends with tarps, friends with less fear, who trucked through it and actually rescued my chameleon, who was buried in the rubble and still alive. About 15 hours later, we found him and rushed him out to the rescue, and I'm happy to report he is doing okay. We're all doing okay. We all have a safe place, and we all have a roof over our head. And what filled the next 5 days or so, as we had no power and tried to recover from the storm in an unlivable home, was I was just in awe. I was in constant awe of the miracles and blessings and the heroes that showed up, um, over and over and over again. And and things that I thought about when my house was squished was not the stuff. It was that silly little chameleon stuck in the rubble. It was the fact that me and my dogs were okay. And it was the stuff. All the stuff you treasure and foment and love and hold and honor. It meant nothing in the moment. Um, and I've been spending the last year fixing up my house and trying to set myself up for new. I've lived here a long time, and it hasn't been done in a long time, and so I was enjoying the process, and all of that is gone. All of it is just destroyed. Um, but and and those things that were fixed, like the door frames to put up fancy or new heavier doors, um, they were structured new. They were 4 times as thick, new headers and new frames and new things that were stronger and burlier, meant to withstand more weight. And those things didn't crumble. Those things broke, but they didn't collapse. All of these new things that were done helped hold the tree up a little higher, helped keep it from moving a little further, and could have very well made the difference between me and the 10 feet away that I was. So they also kept things from being completely destroyed. I had tree going through my hallway, tree going through every skylight. I had my roof is in on the under the floor. She was, but at the same time, they pulled out a piece of furniture from under my house, and right next to it was one of my grandmother's little statues that she loved that was sitting on it that had just slid off and gently sat in the soil. And there was an old mirror where the the great grandmother's mirror and the beam had come all the way out, and you couldn't see into the room. It was 4 feet of insulation. Everything was covered in all but invisible, and the walls were tipped over, and yet this mirror hung there. And when we finally were able to get in, we, not me, I'm a little too chicken for those things, but the amazing work of action construction and braver souls than I, they got in there and they discovered that that beam stopped an eighth of an inch from that mirror, and it was still hanging. Um, you know, Little precious things, big precious things, things that didn't matter. The amazing amount of recovery blew me away. It blows me away. Like utter destruction and somehow very graceful, very forgiving. And so these little things every day that um, took so much away didn't. They really didn't. Um, I can't live in my home. Probably won't be a good year before I can come back to my home. It'll be a new home and it'll be the same shape, but it'll look different inside because I won't make it the way a guy did in 1979 for his family. I'll make it the way I want to see it. And I'm excited about what that is, what it'll look like, and what the possibilities are. And all of the things that I was remodeling that I was like, can we do this and can we do that? And they go, no, no, there's this here and there's a beam there and you can't do it. You can't build within that. I don't have those boundaries anymore. So maybe those dreams can come true. Um, it's just every message I'm getting is about letting go of the things you thought you needed, letting go of the things that you thought gave you power, because they don't. It's not from the things. Um, Letting go of the need for the things, not just the things. I find it hard to come back, but I really wanted to have this conversation today because I need to carry forward. Um, Yesterday I had a really hard day. I have to wash every piece of laundry that was in my home, essentially, except for a few things in drawers, which of course weren't the things that I wore very much. Um, they all got covered in insulation. Everything's being laundered and has to go out and be washed and come back because it's too much. It's just too much to do for me. Um, like way too much. And so as that happens, I have to kind of pull things out and shake them off. And, something broke, some silly little thing was in there broken. And I kind of went, oh, no, it broke. And felt that ping. And then I said, come on, there's so many things that survived. How can you even be upset about that silly little thing? And then I cried. And then I couldn't get out of that loop all day. Oh, it's okay. Be grateful and cry like over and over. And it's not the emotions that I mind. It's all part of the process. But oh, I hate that pit in my stomach. That just weighs heavy, makes me not want to move and makes it hard to think and makes me reactive. Things I don't really like to feel. And so I pulled some tarot cards from my first deck, which I actually haven't used in a while. One fell from the deck as a direct message. I pulled 3. Um, one of them landed on a card that I had notes in my little book that I use, that was from 2018 from my friend. He's a forest dragon. And he had little notes in there about the blessings of the trees. And on this one card, about there's someone at the driveway, so I'm going to pause for a minute. Hey, sweetheart. I don't know where I was. Doesn't matter. Because on Spiraling Up with Terra, we meet where we are. And I am in my yard among the destruction and the possibilities. I was talking about the tarot cards. I say all that to say that the guidance is do what I need to do. If I need to cry, cry. If I need a break, take a break. If I need to pull up my big girl panties or my little dog and just deal with it, then deal with it. You know, put it aside, cope with it later, deal with it now. I have the ability to make those choices. And I don't have to feel bad about it. I don't have to feel good about it. I can just know that it's something that I need to do in the moment. Cry, not cry, whatever it is. And I can adjust accordingly. I discovered that this tree fell at 9:06 p.m. I found that out because I wear devices that tell me such things as decibels and heart rate, and I was able to go back about a week later. I thought about it, and I went back, and I looked, and it was 9:06. I went from a quiet room with no power to a crash, and milliseconds later, it was louder because I started screaming, and then you could see it in my heart rate too. So 9:06 p.m. And I looked up 9:06. I'm not going to do military time. I'm not going to get fancy about it. I'm just looking at 9:06. And I checked the angel numbers because I find those things interesting. When numbers are powerful or important or stand out in repetition, I look them up. I'm curious that way. Same with animals. I look it up. What's the deeper message that may be there? Well, come on now. 9:06. 9:06 essentially said, prepare to lose something significant to gain what it is you deserve and what you have coming. Prepare to let go and allow yourself to receive more abundance than you could expect. Understand and believe in your worth and trust in your gifts, and prepare to be aligned and prepare. Prepare to keep doing what you're doing. Prepare. So I'm reconciling the fact that what I was doing in my home doesn't stop. The work I was doing, the writing, the podcast, the conversations, that doesn't stop. I can do those anywhere. I can even do those in my broken yard on a 40-degree day nearing sunset. I can keep working in my garden so that when my home is rebuilt, they're blooming and ready. And those are the things that matter right now. And I keep getting validation for that. Yesterday, in my sense of roller coaster emotions, I had two random conversations with two people named Brian, both of which are people I'm working with this house on two completely different areas. And both of them gave me a reflection of myself at a time where I was feeling pretty low and weak. And one said that, he remembered the last time we talked, and he's shared that story with people because he'd never met anyone who'd gone through as much chaos as I had in my particular incident, and still held the smile and still was positive and still found a way to channel the hope and the possibilities. And it really stood out to him. So in the moment, my brain went, well, thanks for putting a little pressure on me. No, keep the expectations. Um, but the truth was, it was a really good validating reminder that that is where I like to be and land, and how I prefer to move through things. And that I can choose to do that at any time. And then later, another Brian, he sees me, gets out of his car, and he goes, "Oh, I've seen you around. I've seen your car, and I've noticed your bumper sticker, and I've seen you before." And although it was nothing specific, just the sense of being seen, something that I haven't done in a long time. When I left my cafe, I was very much with the public, and I closed and I left the career as chef. When my husband died, I just couldn't, I lost my taste buds. That was not the path for me anymore. It was time to leave, and I did, um, and started this one. and the truth is that it's every step of the way is just validating. I keep getting this sense that, you know, it's time to be seen, it's time to be heard. COVID happened, that made it real easy to not do any of those things. And then writing the book is a pretty quiet, personal thing. And the lessons and learnings that came through that period. Um, and now here I am, without my home, without my beloved tree, who, if you've seen my book, the tree that was the one on the back of my book that I have my author's picture under. And if you read my book, you'd know that she is also the sacred grandmother. She is my blessed ancient tree, and she is a main character of my book, because she's been a main character of my life, and that ancient spirit has been around a whole lot longer than that 100-year-old tree, and so I know that she's not gone either. She'll take another form. I'll probably hear her everywhere anyway. Right now, my world's a little jumbled, and what comes through is pretty small but pretty important. Um, it's all important. And for as much as it all matters, none of it matters. we make we make the world we want to live in, and that's really, I guess, what this is all about today. Because you know, I've been working hard this last couple years on making my home the world I want to live in, the gardens and the sense of sanctuary. And I actually, just days before the storm, held my first little monthly gathering. I was planning to help others find their peace and sanctuary and footing so that they can move forward in the direction they want. And it was just lovely. It was absolutely wonderful. I had new people come and longtime friends come, and it was a great space. And that was Sunday. And on Tuesday, that space is just within. And so I get to rebuild it, and I get to make it what I want. And I get to, within limits. Obviously, the insurance has opinion, but I get to choose. And if anything, this is me welcoming you to Spiraling Up with Terra and encouraging you to check out my book, Spiraling Up, A Fantastical Journey Within, all of which have links on my website, iamspiralingup.com. The point is, we get to choose. And the first step to finding happy, to finding the comfort in discomfort, to finding freedom from pain and suffering, is to understand where it comes from and allow yourself to be free. It's all within. I mean, literally, free your mind. It's not just a song, right? It comes from within. It comes from the words you choose. It comes from the way you think and the thoughts you have. And all of those things create the doing, the action, the catalysts that bring these things to fruition. Whether it's because we're manifesting it, we're calling it in, or we just repeat it over and over because we don't evolve from our chaos, because we don't let our mind rest and find a reprieve from our chaos. And shit begets shit. Shit begets shit. Good begets good. The reflections I got yesterday from those two men just left me with the sense of good begetting good. I showed them a part of me that left them feeling good, left them recognizing something positive and having a moment of reflection of something that gave them a smile, just positive energy. And then in a moment, some conversation, they reflected that back at me when I really needed it. So it's a perfect example of good begets good. These are basically strangers, you know? These are just people I'm interacting with in the course of the day, if I'm interacting at all. So the hope is to keep these things within a half an hour. You'll have a little blip in here because of the interruption. I'll probably just cut that out. But I want to welcome you to my podcast. I have 2 others already to share, and I'm going to continue recording them and connecting with all kinds of fun people, different people on all different paths and heading in different ways and on different points of their journey, and all with the idea of sharing the good stuff. Like, even when a tree falls on your house, especially when a tree falls on your house, there are a million reasons to smile. And right now, my biggest one is simply to be here today with my beasties and tell the story and share the love and share the good and spiral up. So happy New Year. May 2025 bring you an enlightened sense of awareness and a greater good. Take care.